prayers for resolutions of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivejinja, former Member of Parliament, Second Deputy Prime Minister, and a Minister without portfolio, for his dedicated service to the Republic of Uganda. Moved under Rule 55 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, whereas the Parliament of Uganda received with deep sorrow the sad news of the demise of Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivejinja, the Second Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda and a Minister without portfolio, which occurred on Saturday, 19th December 2020. Whereas that Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivejinja has had a distinguished career spanning over 35 years, from participating in the pre-independence struggle, post-independence politics of Uganda, to being a strong advocate of the democratic governance and contributing to the development of multi-party politics in Uganda. Recognizing that Honorable Kivejinja served Uganda meticulously in several key responsibilities, which include the following: B, Minister of Relief and Social Rehabilitation in 1986. C, Third Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Internal Affairs, 2006. D, Senior Presidential Advisor for Internal Affairs, 2012. E, Second Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs from 2016. F, Second Deputy Prime Minister and Minister without portfolio, 2019 until his demise. Appreciating that Honorable Kivejinja was a diligent leader who immeasurably participated in shaping the destiny of Uganda and served Uganda with dedication and patriotism. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Parliament as follows. 1, that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, relatives, friends, and the people of Uganda for the loss of a distinguished citizen of this country. That this Parliament takes cognizance of the dedicated service and contribution that Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivejinja has rendered to the people of Uganda. 3, that we pray to the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant Honorable Kirunda Kivejinja's soul eternal rest. Kivejinja followed Yoweri Museveni to the bush in 1981 and was active in the organization of the armed movement as a member of the Resistance Council in the Luwero Triangle and Kampala, with others like Elia Katagea, Moses Kigongo, and Bakulumbaki Wamala. Later, Honorable Kirunda Kivejinja fled to Nairobi and joined the external wing of NRM as editor of the Resistance News. This was a newsletter of the National Resistance Movement that articulated the theoretical justifications of the armed struggle in Uganda. Alhaji Kirunda Kivejinja was forced out of Nairobi by agents of the UPC government, and he took refuge in Vienna, Austria, on the invitation of Erin Lons, then foreign minister in the socialist government of Bruno Kreisky. In Vienna, he was instrumental in the publicity of the NRM struggle in Europe with Ben Matogo. In 1984, he was crucial in recruiting William Pike, then a freelance journalist in London. He smuggled Pike into Luero, from where he interviewed the rebel leader. Then, January Museveni, for the first time since 1981, Pike's breakout story on the organization of the National Resistance Army made the case of the armed resistance against the UPC in Western media. At the death of the founding chairman of the NRM, Professor Yusuf Lule, in January 1985, Kirunda Kivejinja organized the final consultative meetings of the NRM executive that confirmed Yoweri Museveni as the new chairman of the NRM in Vienna, Austria. Honorable Kirunda Kivejinja returned to Nairobi after the fall of the UPC government in 1985 coup, and he was a member of the NRM delegation at the Nairobi peace talks of 1985 with the College junta. He rejoined the NRM forces in Mutua, Kabarole, in August 1985 as the Commissioner for Finance in the NRM interim administration set up in Western Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, on capture of state power in 1986, Mzee Kivejinja served both on government and at the movement secretariat, emphasizing the ideological foundation of the NRM. He was a religious man and lived his life as a Muslim intellectual. Right Honorable Ali Haj Kivejinja served with diligence under the NRM government in several capacities as Constituent Assembly Delegate for Bugweri 1994 to 96, and MP Bugweri 96 to 2001. He was Minister of Relief and Social Rehabilitation, Works and Transport, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Minister without portfolio. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Minister for Information, Minister for Presidency, Deputy National Political Commissar, Third Deputy Prime Minister, Second Deputy Prime Minister, and Minister of East African Community. Honorable Speaker and members, from the above analogy, we can all see how accomplished Mzee Kivejinja was. But even with this, he remained a very humble man, was very approachable, and a man of high integrity. He was candid and a man of his word. He spoke his mind without fear or favor. We will miss his wise counsel. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable member, Right Honorable Al-Haj Kivejinja succumbed to coronavirus, COVID-19, the pandemic that continues to pose serious threat to our ways of life. With COVID-19 now in our midst and spreading rapidly in the community, we all must remain vigilant, observing all the SOPs to fight it. We extend our deep condolences and sympathies to the family, the Islamic faith of Uganda, the people of Busoga, and the country at large. May his soul rest in eternal peace. This is on behalf of Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Gunda, Doctor. Of course, I am Moses Ali, if you want to know. I submit.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Can I invite the Leader of Opposition?
I rise to second a motion for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to Second Deputy Prime Minister and Minister without portfolio, a veteran Ugandan politician, patriot, skillful servant, mentor, advisor, intellectual and great leader, the late Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivejinja, who passed on 19th December 2020. Honorable Kivejinja is no more. It's with great sorrow that Honorable Kivejinja joins more of our colleagues who have succumbed to the COVID-19. To the family, especially the widows and children, kindly accept my sincere condolences. As you mourn, we mourn with you. The National Resistance Movement Fraternity, we also mourn with you. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Kivejinja served his country in various capacities by serving in several positions in government. He has served as a Minister of Relief and Social Rehabilitation, Minister of Internal Affairs, and Third Deputy Prime Minister, and a Senior Presidential Advisor for Internal Affairs to the President. He was also an author to the book entitled The Crisis of Confidence, a book about Uganda's political history. Right Honorable Speaker, today we salute Honorable Kivejinja for the great service as a dedicated servant. The minister changed his life career path from human medicine to a political calling due to the love to fight for his country's independence. He will be greatly remembered for taking part in the unity of members from the Legislative Council to form the Uganda People's Congress. His contribution to the Uganda People's Congress cannot go unnoticed. Honorable Kivejinja later parted ways with the Uganda People's Congress, but did not give up. He later re-engaged in active politics as a member of the National Consultative Council and actively participated in the formation of the Uganda Patriotic Movement. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I still call upon the government of Uganda to do free COVID-19 testing in all over the country, or reduce the cost of the test so that services are accessible to everyone, because the virus is such a terrible one that needs special attention. I also call upon the public to up their guard against the deadly virus and also observe standard operation procedures. Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivejinja, today we cannot celebrate. Today we celebrate your life. Your time on earth has been fruitful, and your legacy is glaringly visible. Let me also give this observation that in Gulu he had a son he cared for, even married. He married to that son that the son passed on. But he took great responsibility even in the burial of the son. So a man who could have go beyond his region, that is his district, so he must have been a very kind-hearted man. The works of your hands have shone and now dim. Ina lila wa ina ilai rajun. Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Kirunda Kivejinja was many things in this country. In terms of political tolerance, I have not seen a politician who is as tolerant as the Honourable Kirunda Kivejinja. Right Honourable Speaker, so many times in my home, he has been the chief guest at my functions, even those that are political. Despite the fact that he's NRM, I am Jema. Right Honourable Speaker, he has lived a very modest and simple life. The Honourable Kivejinja was not materialistic. He has no arcade in this town. He has no mansion anywhere in this country because he lived a simple and modest life. Right Honourable Kivejinja inspired many Muslim families to take their children to school because he was the first Muslim graduate in this country. So many of our parents and grandparents were inspired to take our fathers to school and our fathers to take us to school because of the legacy of the Honourable Kirunda Kivejinja. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, I attended the burial of the Honourable Kivejinja. I want to express my disappointment, Right Honourable Speaker, at what we saw and what transpired. Right Honourable Speaker, at that burial, the tents were provided by the Honourable Abdul Katuntu. If the Honourable Abdul Katuntu had not bought tents for his constituency, perhaps we would not have had tents at that function. Number two, Right Honourable Speaker, there was no food at the function, at the burial function. Even the water that was provided came very late. Number three, Right Honourable Speaker, we had one of the worst public address systems at the burial. Right Honourable Speaker, if President Museveni and the NRM government cannot give the Honourable Kirunda Kivejinja a befitting send-off, then whom will they do it for? He has known Mr. Museveni and the NRM for the last 40, 50 years, but that didn't happen. It was an embarrassment, it was a disappointment. I hope that the Prime Minister is here. You find the time, brief the President, and perhaps the President meets the family. They have a lot to say about what transpired. Right Honourable Speaker, it was a very big disappointment. You couldn't believe what we saw at that time. So I don't know whether money was given and somebody swindled it, or government deliberately did not appreciate the contribution of the Honourable Kivejinja. It couldn't have happened. So as we talk, as we celebrate and remember the life of the Honourable Kivejinja, we should also not feel shy to mention some of the things that this government did not do that it should have done. And tomorrow it will also happen to them. And the people, the Muslim community is asking, why did it happen to Kivejinja? The Basoga are asking, why did it happen to Kivejinja? Even the Bagwedi are asking, what happened to Kivejinja? This should not be happening. So I hope that government should be able to explain what actually happened, why the Honourable Kivejinja was not given a befitting send-off. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Listening to what Honourable Basalwar just stated, that if that can happen to an idol of the NRM strategy, standing here listening to the Honourable Moses Ali, the profile of the late Kivejinja and then what transpired on his final days is disturbing. Right Honorable Speaker, I hope the government will take this seriously and take care of the family. We don't want a situation where we are going to see the children, the widows of the late suffering. You have stated what the late has done for this country. Not just for its region, but for its country. Can we see the government take care of the family, the children, the widows, the grandchildren? Maybe you could be able to salvage what transpired on that day. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, at one point I went to visit the Right Honorable in his office. I was with Honorable Odongoto. He gave us copies of his book, and he thinks one thing that elders and others must learn to document, because if he had not put that in that book, and I would want to encourage Ugandans to read that book, it gives a lot. How I wish, because I know Honorable Moses Hari has a very rich history about this country, could also put something in writing, such that even when we are all long gone, we should be able to know what happened, what transpired, what caused their movement from one party to another. Of course, some of us have already joined that journey. So it will enable this country. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I know during this time we lost very senior colleagues, but of course, even if you are not a senior colleague, it's a great loss to this country. To me, it was like losing a grandfather, a father in a family. You know how the children will feel. We lost Honorable, Right Honorable Paul Etiang. I hope the government will bring a motion to pay tribute to him. It was a great loss. I attended the burial of the late in Tororo. So I hope the government will be able to bring the motion to pay tribute. But Right Honorable Speaker, we hope the government does something befitting for a fallen colleague, for our elder. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
The Right Honorable Kivejinja was entirely a state funeral. So it was entirely in the hands of the central government.
I represented the government at the Dua on Wednesday last week in Ibuwabe. It is true, the Right Honorable on a Saturday, late afternoon, and was buried on Sunday. Given how government works, organizing of logistics could really not be done overnight in such situations, and being a Muslim, he was supposed to be buried the following day. But His Excellency, the President, is arranging a meeting with the family, and thereafter he will call on the family in Buwabe.
It's very unfortunate that we lost the Right Honorable Kirunda Kivejinja at such a time when we were moving into the elections. And Right Honorable Speaker, we also lost, for the information of this House, a former Member of Parliament and Minister, the late Henry Obo, who died in November. And of course, thereafter, we had other people that passed on. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Kirunda Kivejinja was a friend to me despite the age difference. He was one person that I found so humble and extremely knowledgeable. He had a lot of information, and if he got up to speak, if you don't stop him, he would speak forever. I found him humble to the point that in 2017, he invited me to be guest of honor at a health center, a health facility that had been constructed by his Austrian friends at Minani, and that was Minani Health Center 2, which we, of course, as the Ministry of Health, took up and named Minani Health Center 3. He cared for his community, and one thing I remember telling him, how can you, at your level as a Deputy Prime Minister, third deputy, second deputy afterwards, invite me, a state minister? 1 second. And he told me that that is my decision, come and officiate. I went and officiated. He authored a book. He gave me a book, actually, invited me to his office in October and told me about how to get rid of poverty. Of course, he was concerned about the NRM primaries, but later veered into lecturing me about how to fight poverty, and he gave me his thoughts and a book and asked if NRM could pick that ideal from him, then poverty would be history. He also passed on these skills to one of his daughters, writing. One of the daughters, Asha Virabwa, has written this book, The Seasons of African Holistic Development. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we'll certainly miss him. We'll certainly have great things to learn from him. May the soul of the deceased rest in eternal peace.
Some of us who were mentored by Uganda People's Congress will always live to remember is that in its character and the way it did its politics, UPC inculcated the spirit of comradeship and the spirit of national unity. Right Honorable Speaker, you could not place Kirunda Kivejinja. Maybe very few people knew he was a Musoga, but he identified himself with almost all tribes in Uganda. I was shocked at one time when he sent me a son of his who had studied agriculture in Makerere University. This young man had been walking around the streets for 2 years without a job, and the Prime Minister sent me this son with a note and said, try and ask your auntie Cecilia to get you a job. Now, this young man comes to me and I say, look, I'm a member of the opposition. I have no contact. And the young man said, yes, a note from my dad. And I was happy that I was able to get this young man a job through some friendly connections with the World Food Program. But Right Honorable Speaker, that's the kind of character that Uganda is lacking at the moment. People that look beyond the tribe, people that look beyond the political affiliation that we hold. Right Honorable Speaker, whether you like it or not, you know that, just one more second. You know that Honorable Kivejinja has inculcated that spirit in Busoga. Right Honorable Speaker, the quality of John Kirunda, the quality of Sam Teungwa, and very rare in Busoga these days. These were proud, strong personality, drivers in the politics of the country. But they are lacking today. Today, people are timid in politics. People don't want to stand out and speak the truth in politics. This is what we miss about the character of John Kirunda. I remember when we lost our Papa, Paulo, the Vice President of Uganda People's Congress. The Sapoba team came up to try and block the political activities around the funeral of Paulo Mwanga. But at the end of the day, when we also played a bit of our politics, knowing that Ndugu Rugonda is one of us, the later Diebo was one of us, so we overpowered them and we took over the activities. I can assure you the spirit of the Congress came up, and Paulo Mwanga was buried with that spirit of comradeship. Right Honorable Speaker, I appeal to the people of Uganda. Let's look beyond our political affiliation. Let's look beyond our tribes. Let this culture which UPC left with us not die with us. May God bless you all.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable the late happened to be my uncle, and he played a big role in our family, especially when my Jaja was still alive. And Right Honorable Kivejinja played a very big uniting factor. This is the Honorable you would find the Christians in his home and the Muslims. When you would look at Mama Deborah, a very strong and devoted born-again Christian, as opposed to Right Honorable, who was also a devoted and strong Muslim. I want to pay a high tribute to him for uniting the two regions in his family.